thanks everybody for coming. If you've got a question for Ivan, we'll raise your hand and we'll get you. And then if there's anybody on Zoom that wants to ask, we'll hit a couple of those at the end. So why don't we start with Aaron Porchline? Go ahead, Porty.
Thank you, Todd. Ivan, welcome back.
Thank you.
Were you starting to wonder if this day was going to come, say a week or so ago, when things were kind of up in the air? Were you always confident this would happen, or were you wondering?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously, I knew that they knew that I wanted to stay. I think my understanding was that they, wanted to keep me. Obviously, I think it's not a secret. They obviously explored it and looked at other options, and definitely was a stressful week. I think for a little bit, definitely didn't know if I was coming back or not, but I think obviously the want for me was to stay and to re-sign here, and I'm glad we were able to come to an agreement and keep all of this together.
And can you say just how, I don't know if pleased or proud is the right word, but you and your agent played this? Like, the market really helped you guys. It seemed like once the draft passed, the leverage was firmly in your court. Did it just change after that? Did you feel a whole difference in the conversations?
I don't, not necessarily. I think, market is at what it's at. I think it's overall. I think it's a good contract for both sides. I think I'm obviously happy to be here for 7 years. I think it's a well compensated contract for what I bring to the table, and I think it's a good contract for a team, and where it puts the team with the salary cap, and I think overall, like I said, I think it's a pretty good contract for both sides.
Go ahead, Hedge.
Yeah, Ivan, congratulations on the new contract.
Thank you.
You mentioned it, that, there was a point there where it was pretty clear they were looking at potential replacement options or, fill-ins. When you're in your spot, how do you not take that personally? You know what I mean? Like, is it just you have to lean on it being it's just the hockey business side of it?
Yeah, I obviously understand the side of a righty on the right side compared to a lefty on the right side. I think I'm not gonna hide it. I think it's easier for a lefty to play on the left side, and it's easier for a righty to play on the right side. I think last year I've done a good job playing on the right side, and I don't think a righty could have done better on the right side last year than what I did. But I obviously understand that in some ways it makes things easier. Obviously when you're looking at the team and you ideally can have 3 lefties and 3 righties in the lineup, obviously it makes some things easier, but I don't think I don't think it's always the right thing to do. So I think if you have a lefty that are able to play both sides, it doesn't matter. I think throughout this past season, I played a lot, and for the most part, more than half with Maddie, and I think we've done a good job together. And at some point in the season, I played with Z, and I think we were able to make it work too. And I think when Z and I played together, I think we were probably a top 3 pairing in the league with how much we were able to create offensively and how much we played and how much, how good we played defensively too. So yeah, I think obviously I understand that part of it, and but I understand that it's also business first, and obviously you gotta be able to explore options and see if there's anything out there. But at the end of the day, I'm glad we were able to come to an agreement and continue this, moving forward.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, you've talked over and over again about just how comfortable Columbus was. Just what factors made it so that you felt comfortable in signing here long term?
Yeah, I think overall, I think that starting from the locker room, I think it's a great group of guys. Everyone gets along. It's a great coaching staff. I think we took a tremendous stride last year overall, whether it's, our overall team play or I think a lot of guys individually. I think it's a great city with a great fan base. And overall, it's just, great living, easy, peaceful, great place to raise a family.
Go back to Brian. Go ahead.
How much of a bonus is it for you to stay here, while your brother plays at Ohio State?
I mean, obviously, it's exciting. I think, whether he comes the following year or 2 years from now, obviously have him close would be really fun, and be able to go to his games or him stopping by for dinner once in a while. I'm excited for that.
Completely had a brain freeze there. We had a chance to talk to Miles Wood and Charlie Coyle yesterday, two new players who talked about wanting to come to a team on the rise, how they see this team building. For you, I imagine that may have played a part in it as well. How exciting is to kind of maybe want to see this through, see the improvements from last year and kind of keep building on it?
Yeah, I think we've taken tremendous strides in the past 2 years. Even from the start of last season, I think we got better as the season went on. Obviously, there are some times where, there were downs and there were ups, but I think our team managed those a lot better than we did 2 years ago. I think we're able to learn how to win and how to put, winning streaks together. And I think our whole team is pretty young. Our core group is late 20s, early 30s. All the younger players that are becoming a core are, in their, early 20s and improving. And I think overall, every player on this team took, strides in getting better, and I think that's exciting. I think if we're able to put, our best team game, forward, I think we can win a lot of games and hopefully win a championship.
Certainly a lot was made about the goals against last year, and at least to this point in free agency, it looks like that most of the defense is coming back, kind of running it back a little bit. So what gives you guys the confidence that that area specifically can be improved?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, I think missing Goody last year for most of the season, I think just overall will help us having him back. I think just another season together as a decor will be helpful. Obviously, overall, another year in the same system will be helpful. And just overall, I think this team is hungry to get better and will continue to get better. But I think overall, having everyone, that was there last year come back I think it's a great thing for this team, and I think we can take massive strides on the defensive aspect of the game.
Go ahead, Brian.
Building off that, do you think that applies to the team as a whole? I mean, like when you look at last year, you had a number of players, doesn't matter what position, have breakout years, but they're young. Can these young guys, is there another level that you think that they can get to that can help take this team even higher? Yeah,
I mean, all those guys set career highs in points, and we didn't even make the playoffs. So if the team makes the playoffs, if they're top 6 in the conference, obviously everyone's number is going to get better. We're going to win more games, and more wins lead to more goals for and less against. And when you have more goals for and less against, everyone's stats are a lot better individually. But I think this team doesn't really focus on that, which is really what you want to have as guys that just want to play their best, contribute in any way they can, and whether it's goals and assists or blocks and hits. So I think, like I said, overall, if we're going to continue to get better, everyone's numbers are going to get better. But the great thing about this team is that we don't focus on that.
You and Zach were in the same draft, obviously, so you're about the same age. He won the world championship this year, and I remember he was telling us basically it just stoked the fire even more that he wants this team to take that next step and get to the playoffs. It's been a few years for you since the playoffs. Where's your level as well of hunger, just getting back to the playoffs and enjoying postseason hockey?
I mean, obviously, that's what you play all 82 games for, you know? In the way, it's not totally meaningless, but, you know, you play for a championship, you play for a chance to make the playoffs, and then go try to win the championship. And if you don't make the playoffs, you can't win. So, obviously, the ultimate goal is to try to win a Stanley Cup, and you can't do that without making the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm obviously hungry to, you know, do better myself, do better as a team, and try to get into the playoffs this upcoming season and go from there.
Do we have any other questions for Provi?
Where do you see taking the GM to dinner tonight?
Your choice.
Thank you, Don. Great. All right, with that, thanks, Provi, and
All right.
we'll bring Don in.
All right, thank you.
How many boys did Greg get today?
Greg didn't get too many yet.
Not yet.
No.
It'll be coming.
Yeah, it'll be coming.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Provi, we're good. Breaks signing.
Commitment to the city, right? Thank you.
All right, you know how it works. If you got a question, please raise your hand, and we'll get you a mic. Who's first?
There's no questions.
Hey, Don, how did the negotiations change with Provorov after the draft passed, after the free agent market started to change, Dobson moved, et cetera?
Well, what happens in all these kind of negotiations, you know, deadlines, I've always said deadlines make you make deals on both sides. And obviously, we really wanted Provi to stay here, and I think you heard it, he wanted to stay here. You know, so when you're talking, when you have 2-3 weeks prior, you know, there's talks, but you don't get down to the nuts and bolts as much as, you know, the last 24 hours or so, where we know, you know, from our end that as of today, he could sign with anybody. And so I think that's the biggest thing as you approach deadlines, and whether it's the draft or whatever it is, deadlines usually creates action.
And market forces drive the term to keep a player like that, is that fair to say?
Well, to a certain point, but we also think that, you know, at his age, the next 7 years, I mean, this is a guy that plays every night. You know, he doesn't, he's been very fortunate from an injury standpoint, and I think I've told the story many times, as up in Canada there when he dislocated his thumb, and I asked him, you know, how long he's going to be out of. You know, they weren't sure, and he looked at me and said, "Don, I broke my thumb, not my foot," and he never missed a game. You know, so this is a true warrior, and we're very, very comfortable giving him the term of 7 years.
When we look at least so far at what you've been able to do to kind of add some new faces in with Wood and Coyle, that's definitely not nothing. That's something that's going to be you know, pretty significant for the middle six there, and maybe the bottom line. But last year, for you guys to really have the year you had, you needed some of those young guys to really take a big step, and they almost all did. Is there another level, do you feel, that they're all still pretty young, that those guys can add on to, even that could like help, even though not a lot has changed?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is we've created a great atmosphere that starts with the coaching staff. I think, you know, you got to give them a lot of credit for creating the atmosphere around the team. And then, as I said, you have to be surrounded by good people and good veterans. And I think that's what's helped our young players tremendously. And that hasn't changed. You know, we bring in a guy like Coyle, who I've never heard anybody say anything bad. Everybody I've talked to speaks volumes about this guy. And, you know, as we know, we were looking for a right shot guy. So, you know, I think with the leadership we have in this team and knowing the potential of these players, I think there's a lot more yet to come.
You go back to April when the season ended. Flash forward to today. Do you think you would be happy, you know, knowing where you're at back then?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our defense, and I know I heard the question not even about our defense. You know, remember, you know, we didn't start that way. We lost Goody. We picked up Fabro on waivers, and then we brought Matejchuk up after 30 games, and I think him and Provi created a great tandem together. So, you know, Fabro and Provorov, if you look, you know, when you got two guys that are playing your group, your top four, and you know, you look to see what's out there in the unrestricted free agent list, which you guys all, it's public information. You can see what was available. We certainly felt that we know these players. Sometimes it's better of what you know than what you don't know. And we know these guys, and both guys are committed to doing the right things to help us win. So I think from a defense standpoint overall, and I even mentioned it with Goody being out, I think with overall our defense, if we're healthy for the year, having Matejchuk play, Fabro come in here, Werenski continuing on his way, I think we're much better defensively.
Just building off that question, and a lot of times in the hockey business, you don't get an opportunity for guys to stay together for a long period of time. You're going to get a lot of the group back. How important an aspect is that to be able to have continuity there?
I always say you don't make changes for the sake of making change. You make change to try to make your hockey team better. And we felt we did that with the few changes we made. So anytime guys can be together, especially this group, this is a special group, obviously. Everything that happened last year and how they stuck together and how they are moving at the end of the year and moving forward. You know, I think trying to keep the nucleus of together was important. And again, doesn't mean we don't explore. We always got to look to see what's out there to see if we can make our team better. But at the end of the day, this group here, we felt very comfortable moving forward with.
Don, how active do you plan to be the rest of the way in free agency? You mentioned, I think early on, a few weeks ago, wanting a top 6 or top 9 winger. Are you still in the market? Is that something that you think might happen?
Probably not in free agency. And again, you know, that list of guys wasn't deep, and certainly, you know, what we noticed here, especially the last 48 hours, is how many players re-signed with their own teams. You know, and didn't even hit the market. So I think from a free agent market, no, I would say that where we're at right now, we're comfortable where we're at. You know, if you look at our group there, but certainly we're going to continue to explore. You know, it's my job to continue to explore throughout the summer and see if we can make us better.
You need another forward with Danforth signing elsewhere now. JVR, Corrali, those guys.
Yeah, I have it done. I have it close done. I have a center that we're going to get.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but it's going to fit into our group very well.
If somebody were today to ask you, and I don't know who the center is, so maybe that changes everything, but how this team is better now than the team that ended last season, how would you answer that?
Well, I think I go back to what I said. The structure around our team is I can't speak for how it was 2 years ago. I can only speak about being here. The structure, I believe, is, sorry, I didn't turn it off. Yeah. That's not happening. Don't even write about it. That's not happening. But the structure, you know, you start with the structure. You know, culture is culture. I mean, it's an overused word. But you start with the structure, and I think right off the bat, the coaches, Dean, leading the charge, created a structure for these players. And I think Ivan said it was much different than what he had played before. and how the year before went. So that's where it starts. So now you have the structure in place. We know we got some really good young players. We know we have some very good veterans. You know, what everybody forgets, you know, not forgets, but, you know, Boone goes out before the season starts, comes back before. Brunson goes out the third game and comes back at the end. You know, even I think Johnson missed games. I think Silly missed games. And I tell you, the stretch in March where we struggled, Monahan was out. Now you're gonna not always be healthy all year long. You know, you got to plan for that. But I truly believe that what I witnessed last year with this group, forget about the outside, everything that happened outside. This is not only a good group of people, but this is a good group of hockey players. And that's why I think by adding the few things that we felt that we desperately needed, the right shot center, and I think everybody will like Miles' way he plays, that it's going to put us in a better spot.
A couple quick here. With Danforth, it sounded like you guys were still talking to him as of this morning, potentially. Was that more of a term thing? Like, or can you say, like, why, like, and how big of a loss is that for maybe your bottom six? For the versatility and the right shot?
Well, yes, we try to sign him, so obviously you look at it as a loss, but we also had other plans if it didn't work out where we were going to go for that position, and we feel very good of where we're headed. So, you know, we wish, obviously, Danny's been good for us here. He's a good guy, and wish him good luck. But, you know, the other thing is, too, you know, bringing in, you know, some of the veteran guys that we did last year and then bringing in Coyle and that, it's not so bad to go a little younger with some potential still on the upside. So, again, Danny did a great job for us, but he chose to go someplace else, which he had that right, and we feel good about where we're headed with it.
That's kind of what I was going to ask next was if he wasn't coming back, does that leave room open for maybe like a Del Bell Blues or somebody? I mean, he played really well for you as well when he was up here.
Yeah.
Is there room for young guys?
Well, our plan is to sign another guy, but we'll have at that point 13 forwards, so it's not like we're blocking anybody. We talk about this all the time. We talked about today, you know, which guys can come up here and give us games, which guys can challenge for spots, and certainly, you know, you got guys that played down there, Pithier and Del Bell, and you know, a few other guys that game here or there. So, you know, we got to continue to develop some of these young players for sure, because, you know, the future of the game is you can't stockpile your team with all veteran players anymore, and you need young players coming in your roster. So I think we're going to be in a spot where, and that's saying not having any injuries, which we know is not possible to go through a year without any injuries. So I think our young players that deserve an opportunity will get an opportunity.
Donnie did make a couple of smaller signings today with Owen Sillinger and Yaros. Just what was the mindset in identifying those two to bring to your team?
Sillinger was good for us last year. He got hurt down the stretch. He was a real good leader in Cleveland. You know, came up, played one game, was fine. You know, he can, you know, I look at him as you want to have call. Oh, my goodness gracious, sorry. It's just, I turned this thing silent. Some people have an emergency contact that they don't get blocked. There's nobody in here, by the way. But Sillinger, you know, you need to have call-up guys, and we felt comfortable when he came up last year and played. And he's a great leader for us down in Cleveland. So, you know, that was there. And then Yaros he's a big body. We watch a lot of video on him here. You know, he's playing overseas, and we think again he could play right now. You know, if we need him to be in the NHL, you know, so he'll compete for a job. Moves the puck well, plays hard. Again, you know, the way our defense is set up right now, you know, we have 7 guys that you would say that were here last year, but you know, you're going to have Hunt and Euros. You're going to have some guys that are going to compete for jobs. Competition for jobs is good.
Any other questions?
Do you need an AHL goalie?
NHL goalie?
AHL.
Why do you bring that up? Yeah, no, we're working on that. We were be honest, we were in a lot today, and it didn't work out. But yes, we'd like to sign what we say a 2-3 kind of guy. What we really like to do is find somebody that doesn't need waivers. So potentially we have to trade for that, which there is some options there. So we're going to explore all those.
Last one.
We have one quick one. And are you close to decisions on some of the job like radio coach and things? Are you ready to make an announcement?
Yeah, video coach is probably just within the next week to 10 days, I think. And then we've hired our equipment manager. We hired our massage therapist. So we're getting there. Great, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
We're